Okay, bam. Tweeted it out.
Great. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started. Let me look at my notes. All right. Welcome.
Did you
Oh,
at
yep,
did you at mention in the secret tower?
I did.
Okay, sorry,
Yep,
go ahead.
yep. Okay. Welcome to the second Wizard Wednesdays. Ethereum is pumping one day ahead of the highly anticipated London hard fork, and here we are, Elf and Dotta, channeling in from the Quantum Downs. Okay, so I just want to say I love saying that in the most cheesy radio voice I can muster. What I want to do
Hmm.
in the future is get some really dorky sound effects to go along with
Perfect.
that. Okay, and so the first thing I want to do is give some cult member shout outs. I've seen a lot of you guys making some beautiful wizard artwork, and so I want to give some credit. First to Magus Tumbaj of the Mount. He put my Forgotten Runes rant to music, and so I've been sharing that. That's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't heard it, give it a listen. Super cool. I also want to give a shout out to, I believe he goes by the name of Wise Sam the Viper on Twitter. And he has been doing some amazing animations. So I'm going to start sharing more of those. Keep it up, my friend.
Yeah, he does commissions too. So yeah, I know that he's one of a few members that do commissions. So we'll get a list up on the website too of folks if you want a GIF animation.
Love it. Yeah, the last one he did was of a wizard eating a green mushroom and vomiting a rainbow. It's gorgeous.
Yep.
So yeah, it is on our Forgotten Runes Twitter account. Check that out. Another highlight, which I'm sure you all saw, was Enchanter Orbis of the Road did a little collab with a Twitter user named John Bivens. It
Oh,
is amazing,
amazing. I
freaking
love it so
mind
much.
blowing.
Yeah.
Um, what I love about it is number one, his wizard is super cool. It's one of the Orbis wizards. It's just got a big eyeball as a head. But what was really cool in John Bivens' drawing was the snail familiar um,
Yeah.
in the background. It just like gave a whole new significance to like what it means to have a snail as a familiar. It's so cool. Um, I really hope to see more of John Bivens' work. Maybe we'll even hire him to do something.
Is that alpha? Yeah. Alpha drop.
Yeah, so good. Elsewhere, Discord member YM just DM'd me with this beautiful pixelized forest scene that he built for his wizard. I'm going to share that on Twitter very soon.
Is that Archmagus Ronald of the Sun?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
So
I couldn't
good.
believe it. I was like, yeah, this background is so good.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, our bard Margaret has been writing more poems for more wizards. Those are always great. And I believe she is still taking commissions. And then other art and animations I've seen randomly are by Twitter users Tad Major, Julian Letlow, Zach Jamo, and Alchemist Lumos of the Capitol. I want to give you all a big thanks for the work you've done. And if
Yeah.
I've missed anybody, please just tag at Forgotten Runes and we will certainly share it.
Yeah,
Um,
I've had Tad in the DMs. One of the things Tad asked is he was like, "Oh, can I, my friend, I made a wizard for him. Can I mint that wizard GIF as an NFT?" And the answer is yes. Yeah, please. If you make a derivative work of the pixel art, and you want to mint that GIF as an NFT, and you have permission from the wizard holder, of course, you
yep.
certainly can. And he asked, "Oh, but I know you're doing the Book of Lore. Is there any special format I need to follow to get it to work in the Book of Lore?" And the answer is no. As long as it's an NFT minted in sort of any sort of kind of like regular way, like if you use, OpenSea or Rari or any of these Rarible, you can use. You'll be able to fit it in the Book of Lore.
Yep. Yep. Okay, and speaking of artwork, here in the Quantum Downs, Dotta and I are super busy with all sorts of bonus content. I myself have nearly finished drawing all the angles of the heads. And so, just to recap what that is, currently wizard holders have a 3/4 view of a head on their wizard, 3/4 view of the entire body, really. And so, I am in the process of drawing the side view and the front view and the back view. And you will all, at some point in the near future, get a full turnaround of your wizard character in pixel art, of course. And why are we doing this? Number one, it's just cool. Number two, the grand plan is that you will be able to use your wizard in metaverses. We have every intention to make our own metaverse, but also we want you to bring your wizards in other metaverses from other creators. And so these turnarounds are the very first step into allowing you to walk in 360-degree directions.
It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I like want to walk around with my wizards, and I'm super looking forward to it when we can share some of these artworks.
Yes, so much fun, and yeah, and I'll be sharing work soon. The progress of that. You won't have to wait until it's fully finished to see the progress. We'll slowly share progress as it comes along.
Can I
Okay.
talk about the book of lore?
Uh, let there. I'll have a good segue for that here in a second.
Okay, great.
Yep, yep. But yeah, in fact, let me just hold on. Let me check my. Okay, yeah. Let me just touch on Forgotten Souls really quick, and then we'll segue to the Book of Lore. Um, so we are making progress on that as well. We have fully designed out the numerology involved. We have designed out the risk reward system. Um, Now, I know that many of you are excited to burn your wizards, and you should be. However, I will warn you, one should not be too eager to deal out death and judgment, for even the wise cannot see all ends. So keep that in mind when the great burning happens. Now, as far as lore and meta narrative, I will let Dotta speak here in just a second, but I just want to say a lot of you have been DMing me and asking about lore and meta narrative for the Forgotten Runes world. I am making a ton of progress on filling it all out. But one thing I want to say is I will not be putting this out in some grand blog post or some post on our website. I have no intention of just publishing a Silmarillion type of compendium that covers all of these details. And why am I saying that? Several reasons. One being we are neck deep in discussions with other partners in releasing Forgotten Runes, animated shorts, comics, and a game. Um, all of these different mediums have strengths and weaknesses in how they deliver lore and meta narrative. Okay. And so clearly, Forgotten Runes has never been about just delivering the information in a boring, straightforward way. Um, we want to leverage the strengths of all of these mediums in telling it in the most engaging and uh, mysterious way that has the most entertainment value. But I can tell you this for sure. Um, all of the story is already in the collection. Okay. When we do an animated short or something, we will not be just creating new wizards out of whole cloth. We will always respect the collection 100%. And so that means you will always see a wizard from the collection in these other mediums. You will see yourself represented. Um, and so if everything goes to plan, the kinds of questions that you will see answered are like, why is it that the skeletons in the collection are the only ones with technology? Why are there 6 hat colors? Why does the word quantum keep showing up? Who is the keymaster? Is the goat, my avatar, actually evil, or is he just a scapegoat? These and many other questions will be answered in due time in these other media expressions. Now, that said, I have also tried to maintain this idea of decentralized lore building. And So many of you are writing stories and doing art about your wizards, and it has been so inspiring and so amazing. Thus far, you've only been able to tweet it on Twitter or put it in Discord. The Book of Lore, which I'm going to let Dotta talk about, is a way for us to collect all of these things in a more official way, so that they can bleed into all of these other media expressions. And I believe Dotta is making tons of progress on that Book of Lore. So take it away, Dotta.
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk about what the Book of Lore is. I see a lot of wizard profile pics in this chat, so I wonder if hopefully folks maybe know most of the details. But the idea is that there will be a section of our website where you can go and navigate the Book of Lore, which will allow you to attach artifact NFTs to a particular wizard. And to be able to kind of tell the story. And we've got a set of permissions where the owner of the wizards will be able to have control over being able to add new bits of lore. And then there's even a mechanism by which you can. It doesn't necessarily have to be linear. You might be able to do a bit of ordering to that lore within the story. So yeah, we've been building that out. We deployed the alpha version of the contract to Rinkeby this morning, and then we're writing out the like design documents for the UI right now. So I'll probably be getting some help from Niski, who's in our chat, who might help with some of the development there. But I'm writing out specific documentation. If you, for example, are a React developer, JavaScript dev, and you want to help out with some of the UI there, you can reach out to me, and we'll be working on that this week. We just about got the like front end design docs done, but I'm so excited to get this out. I think there's like, uh, you know, there are going to be many points in a wizard's life that will be documented in this book of lore. The Great Burning, for example. We want to do the book of lore before because it should be built into kind of that process that event is written into the history of the wizards. And
Yep.
so, yeah, so we're working on this, and that's where we are.
Yep. Yep. The Book of Lore is probably one of the most exciting things about this project. It's kind of the whole point of this project. And, we've had a lot of users express concern about like, well, I'm not really a writer or I'm not really an artist. I don't know how to write. That is totally fine. Number one, you do not have to
Yeah.
write. You do not have to make art. Um, if we've done our jobs right, we have hopefully empowered hundreds of other creators to do that, to lift up the entire collection. But I would also say, even if you don't consider yourself a writer or an artist, you might surprise yourself. Take a stab at it at the Book of Lore. I mean, number one, you're going to be anonymous, so who cares if you think it's dumb? Nobody's going to know it's you. And number two, again, you're going to surprise yourself. Like, even if you write something really dumb and funny, that's perfect. That's who your wizard is. Um, so yeah, I would just encourage you to take a stab at it.
And yeah, exactly. Even if you're not an artist or a poet or a musician or any of these things, um, there are still ways in which you can kind of like replicate your wizard in a particular way. So I have, um, like my kids, for example, even have started building out like little sculptures or paintings of their wizards. And there's or maybe you paint it on a mural, or maybe you don't do any of that, and we still will help either fund community grants, or you'll just appear in a show regardless. And so there's a lot of ways for these other bits to be created.
Yep, yep. And then just two more things, and then we'll go to the AMA. We also have some interesting merch projects going behind the scenes. Nothing too specific right now to tell you about, but we have a lot of options on the table. Some very basic ones, and then some very involved, elaborate ones. So hopefully, I can tell you more about that next week. And then one other thing we've got
Yep.
bubbling.
Goat head briefs.
Oh, do you want to say something about that, Dotta?
I just said we'll make some goat head briefs from like MeUndies.
Yes, hot pink goat head briefs. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, me
Yep.
too.
And then in-person gatherings. Hopefully, this is the sort of
Yeah.
thing where I would actually wear my hot pink briefs and nothing more.
Oh
Um,
boy.
okay, and so no, we're actually talking to a gallery in Venice Beach in Los Angeles about potentially doing a little wizard art show. So for anyone who lives in Los Angeles, uh, hopefully you can attend that. And if you don't live in LA, if this one goes well, then hopefully we will be coming to your city thereafter. Um,
Yeah, I'd like to go out if it's there. And, I think coronavirus is maybe a big question mark as the Delta variant surges. It's like, what can we do?
sure.
But I'm super excited about meeting other wizards in person. We sent out a survey um, last week or the week before, and asking folks where they live. We'll bump that again. But if you haven't filled that out, we'd love to know like what the nearest metro area is to you, because that affects like where we do, yeah, art gallery night, game night, beers, D&D, murals, all these things. Like if we know where you are, then we can do a better job about organizing real world events.
Yep. Yep. And you might have to wear hot pink underwear to get in. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Okay. So I think that's all the updates I have. Let's turn it over to the AMA. If you'd like to come up and speak,
Yeah.
just raise your
Well,
hand.
I have one thing. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Matasuki and Bread. If you haven't checked it out, they have a new project. I don't think this is private, so Matasuki, tell me if I need to be quiet. But they're working on a new project. It's called Avame, and I think it's really interesting. Maybe butchering the idea, but it's somewhat like this idea around like paper dolls, where you're able to have when you mint, you actually get a set of attributes, and then you can trade those attributes until you fuse and finalize your NFT. And so I'm pretty excited about it. I've been like chatting with them in the DMs, and I think it's like really creative and really well done. And of course, Brett is the artist, and she's just magical in everything she touches. So if you haven't checked it out, I think they posted the link to the Slack somewhere in Wizards channel, but it's called Avame. And yeah, I don't mind Metazuki or Brett, if you want to post that in the chat. I think anyone who's a wizard should for sure check it out.
Yep. Yep. It's going to be an awesome.
Oh, there's. Oh yeah,
I
sorry.
just
Go
said it's
ahead.
going to be an awesome
Yep.
project.
There's one other thing on that regard before we get to the AMA, which is around. I've been talking to Pixel Boy, who's in charge of the Pixel Glyphs project, and he's working on something that is also really cool. Where I don't know if you're familiar with this idea of gravatar. So Gravatar is like, like old from WordPress days, right? You attach like an avatar to your email address, and then any website that supports Gravatar, which is like pretty much all of them, would pull from the it would pull from the Gravatar database and show your image. So what Pixelglyphs is doing is they are using ENS names. So ENS is like the Ethereum name service. People can have like whatever Dotta.eth or whatever your handle is. That's why you can see in Etherscan, for example, some people when they buy NFTs, you can see their name. And what he's building is a system that uses. Well, I actually have to double check the specific technology. I don't know if he's using ENS specifically or if it's ENS like. I'd have to double check. It's not finished yet. But basically, Wizards is going to be one of the sort of like whitelisted early NFT projects that you can use as your decentralized avatar profile. So this is really cool to imagine, like just like how Etherscan, for example, supports your handle that attaches a name to your Ethereum address. You could also attach a profile picture of which one could be a wizard to that. So yeah, keep an eye on Pixel Glyphs. It's a cool project, and Wizards is going to be kind of an early supporter there.
Yep. Magus, did you have a question?
Oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah. I just wanted to say hi, guys. This is Zayla Soul from Discord.
Oh, hey.
I'm just operating
Hey.
on Magus's profile, and then I'm recording from Lumos, so I'm in charge of those two wizards at the moment.
Cool.
Let me
Cool.
see. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to do maybe a little bit of like getting to know the devs a little bit. So I wanted to start with Dotta. I wanted to know what's the deal with this Muppet character. I mean, I'm a big like Jim Henson fan. I was just curious about that.
I love the Muppets so much, but there's something deeper about it that I love that it represents. So I mean, part of it is just like whatever my age. Like I'm a millennial and grew up watching the Muppets, and I just always have loved it. One of the things that I'll do in my spare time is like I actually create like Jim Henson style like puppets out of like foam, and I've like taken courses, and I don't know. I think they're decent actually. Um, I'm not really a puppeteer so much in that like I sometimes I feel like adult men who do puppets kind of seems like mentally unstable, but I just like to build them. But I think the deeper like love there is this idea that you kind of take these materials that are just nothing, right? You're like a stack of foam you pick up at Hobby Lobby or like some felt or something, and you sit and you work it, and then you create life out of it. One of my favorite, for example, hobbies to do is like needle felting. I swear, like if I get rich on NFTs, my hobbies are going to be like a 70-year-old grandmother. But like so, like needle felting, you literally just take like fluff, right? It's these little fluff balls of like wool. You just get like these little balls of wool, and you get a needle, and you just push that wool in the needle, and what happens? And over time, this barbed needle causes all the fibers of the wool to tangle with one another. If you just Google on Pinterest like needle felting animals or
No, I
something,
I watched
what you basically see is like
sorry, I watched a documentary. It was like the Elmo documentary where the puppeteer really went into like detail about like the felt and everything. So I'm kind of following along. It's really interesting.
yeah, even for the Muppets too, they basically use this type of felt that's called oh, I forget the type of it. But basically, when you look at sort of the synthetic fibers that you might find at a craft store versus the fibers on a Muppet, you can tell there's a little bit more like sparkle, a little bit more depth to it. And there's really only one manufacturer remaining that do this sort of felt, this kind of pelt, that and they're located in Pennsylvania. There's only one factory left in the world that can create that like Muppet style felt. And so it's just this really special fabric. Like Kermit's fabric is so specific. Anyway, with needle felting, what you basically are doing is you're just taking literally like fur that you got from a sheep, and you stab it with a needle, and you kind of like shape it, and you can create like life and characters, and like you can just like from nothing, like you could just sit from like $5 of materials, and now you've created this character that you can like walk around and play with and as a toy. And so I think that like kind of process of creating life from like almost nothing, like a bit of fluff that turns into life, is sort of the magic of wizardry of artistry. And I think like Jim Henson, of course, did such a good job on that. And I've always like loved, the Mahamana skit, for example. And
Dotta,
so,
I
I
yeah,
think
I,
I
I,
think it's something about like information coming through like the Muppets and things like this that it bypasses our like logistic side of thinking, and we're better able to absorb it because it's coming from such a playful place. So I really like, yeah, I resonate with that.
yeah, Dotta, I got a second your passion for needle felting. I think needle felting projects are awesome. I've never made any myself, but I get it. It's super cool.
I've got a box of wool, so when you come over next, you can build something.
You know what? Old Lady Craft, I also think is super awesome and underrated. I think
What?
it's called crocheting, where you
Yeah,
like just sew like a design on like a white piece of fabric. Is
yeah.
that crocheting?
Crocheting is when you just have the yarn, and you
Oh,
like you use the sticks to
okay.
to like make like a
Yes.
scarf. Maybe what you're talking about is like cross stitch.
Yes, cross stitch. That's what I meant. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. In
yeah.
fact,
I
let me
I had
just put it
one
out
more
there.
question, and then maybe I can pass it over to the next person.
Sure.
Uh,
Sorry, we're talking about cross stitch
okay,
now.
sorry.
Yeah, no more.
Oh, I was
No,
just
I'm
gonna.
just joking. I'm totally joking. Go
No,
ahead,
hold on. I just
please.
want to say one thing. If anybody out there can cross stitch my wizard, I will buy that from you. That's all I want to say. Okay.
Oh, there's non-fungible rugs, and she does like physical rug versions of NFTs. And I've been talking to her since before we launched, and I really want a rug of hers.
Okay.
Also, was that Zayla Soul that I interrupted? I was like completely joking.
Yeah,
You were in the
sorry. Yeah.
middle. Yeah, please, please,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Now this question was for Elf. I was wondering where you got the name Elf from, and what's the deal with the tiger girl on your profile?
Elf is an anagram of my real name, and Tiger Girl. Yeah, so that was the artwork I was making prior to Wizards. I was, I mean, a lot of my work before Wizards just deals with like animals and people's relationship to animals. Yeah.
So you should know that Elf in real life is um like a huge animal lover. I think for years his profile picture was him holding like a baby fawn. And like, where do you get a fawn? Like, we have fawns in our neighborhood, and they won't let me get anywhere near it. But he sort of has that kind of like care and gentleness. And I don't know, maybe it was someone's pet fawn, but it still wouldn't surprise me if you were just like, no, that was a wild fawn that I just found. And like, if you flip through his Facebook, which I won't tell you because he's anon or whatever, but Elf has pictures of him with like lizards and like fur babies and like bats, and they're like, so animals appear in his art because like animals are a part of his life. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I lived
so
in Costa Rica at one point, and all I did all day, every day was hike around in the jungle trying to catch poisonous and deadly animals.
yeah, like real life Pokemon.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey.
Y-
I'm good. I don't think I've ever heard your voice before. Hello.
I know
yeah.
that's.
I hope it's not disappointing you. Um,
No,
yeah, you can call me O. O
it's
works, I
not.
think, the best.
Okay.
It's easier than
Okay, great. Yeah.
trying to work out
Oh,
whatever
well,
I've
I just
done.
want, since we've got you on here, I just want to give like a public thank you to all of your help moderating the channel. I feel like you've done just such a good job over the last few, like whatever it's been,
Yep.
month. And yeah, just so glad to
Yeah,
talk
you
to
were
you
with us
finally.
from the very beginning, so yeah,
Very beginning, yeah.
thank you.
No, yeah, I appreciate you guys too. I think this project's really cool. I like the vibe that you're kind of delivering through the art and also um in what you're kind of doing in terms of, you know, maintaining this air of mystery in their own the project at the same time, I think is actually quite powerful and creates a bit of space for the community to kind of fill in the gaps, which is really nice.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask a question about the sprite sheets. So you might have read it in the Secret Tower today, but I was wondering, I know we're getting the turnarounds first, but then after that, so I imagine this is some way down the line. Would the sprite sheets be kind of like sort of strafe moving left and right, or are you looking to get us moving in different ways too? Have you thought that far ahead yet?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you'll be able to walk in all directions. So yeah, let me just say a few things about that. So number one, the reason that this uh, sprite sheet project is not going as fast as I would like it to is that I've got a day job. However, I have just given my notice to my employers that I am going to exit and work on Forgotten Runes full time.
Super
Yeah,
exciting.
Congratulations.
I'm so excited about it. Yeah. So once I finally exit, Forgotten Runes will have rocket fuel behind it, and hopefully a lot more content will be coming out more regularly. Now, towards the sprite sheets, yes, your wizard will be able to walk in all directions. One thing we learned, so we actually hired a pixel artist a few weeks ago to just start doing walk cycles, and though she was very talented, I wasn't 100% happy with the work she turned in. And the reason being is because she came in totally fresh and new to these wizards. Like she has not like digested and internalized them like I have. I've been working on them for months prior to our launch. And so what I've realized is what I need to do is I need to draw these turnarounds first And then once I have those, I can hand them off to other artists we hire to put them in other poses, walking, dying, fighting, whatever kind of pose we need. But the first step is doing a full turnaround of these wizards. So that's why we're doing it in this way.
Great, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep.
You've sort out the fundamentals, and then the rest kind of you can build off of that.
Exactly.
And I was wondering, so I kind of think long term about these things if I can. So I'm thinking now, far ahead in terms of like, imagine now there's like multiple metaverses in which you can, and everybody's now kind of got a pseudonymous NFT that is theirs, or maybe they have a few on rotation.
Yep.
I'm imagining that, given that we've got these sprite sheets that can use across multiple metaverses, will be something of a first mover. But I don't think that, I'm not sure that it's well known what's going on, like with the Forgotten Ruins and the kind of the distance in the future that you're thinking, because obviously you think about these things in some depth. We've heard you speak before, Elf, about kind of turning the Hollywood model on its head, and from the threads that Dotta posts as well, we can see that there's more than what appears on the surface, and the surface looks good anyway. So I was wondering how you were thinking in terms of longer term, like getting people to understand what is happening at Forgotten Ruins, because we're moving in so many different directions, and I feel like that can be a bit overwhelming, or it can be a bit dense to try and get into if you're just looking at the wizards and you don't know what's happening.
Yep.
We talk like every day about how the shortcomings of the website and how we need to make the website better. I think that we want to, at the very least, we want to build out more documentation on the website that talks about the mission, the projects we have in progress, what it means to own a wizard, what the technicalities are behind it, what it means to be a wizard, how to get help in the community. It's just like every day we're talking about these ideas and we still haven't put them on paper for, you have to be a super fan to kind of show up, or like there's only there's maybe 30 people here. There's a lot of other people outside. We want to be able that's doing for ideas.
Dotta, you're breaking really badly. Dotta, you might need to reconnect. But I'll just try to pick up on what he was saying if he reconnects. You're absolutely right. We need to be way better about publishing more updates and telling a non-wizard what Forgotten Runes is all about, and we will certainly do that. We've just got like 1 million pieces floating around in the air right now, and we need to organize it better and put it all on our website. So you're absolutely right, and we're working on it.
I want to say, like, part of the fun of this has been kind of working out for myself as well anyway. So I kind of appreciate that you don't want to tell people exactly what it means to be a wizard. Mm-hmm. And there's that kind of like free space to kind of make it what you want it to be. But I think there's certainly space for kind of setting up a framework or kind of like scaffolding, even if it doesn't tell them this is what you need to fill the scaffolding with, this is what furniture you need in your apartment. Just tell them like this is the space that you could have, and this is what this space will be used for. Like in the future, like the wizards are going to be doing this, that, and the other. Everybody will be in a metaverse. We'll be go seeing the people's art blocks in like the metaverse galleries. There'll be large events and things. Like I can imagine that happening. I don't think that it'll be the whole world. It won't be like, I'm not imagining a Ready Player One scenario, but I imagine it becomes a larger and larger space that more and more people will get involved in.
You're absolutely right. So like I think like there's two types of information. The secretive bucket of information, and then the information we should be totally more open with in as far as like publishing it on our website. I think like, yeah, we should do blog posts about we're doing a walk cycle and we're making this book of lore, and we've got the Forgotten Souls Great Burning coming up, and we've got murals and potential gallery openings. That all that stuff should be clearly available on the website. But as far as like lore and backstories, that's the sort of thing that I want to deliver in a more interesting way and not just spell it out in a superficial face value way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to get better. Yeah, but we need to get better at, like, we talked about, for example, the roadmap. If you, when I look at, for example, the roadmap that we have, it's woefully incomplete relative to the amount of like irons we have in the fire.
Yep. And we'll update that for sure. In fact, speaking of the roadmap, the next thing on it is a granting commercial rights. Dotta, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I wish I had more progress than yesterday, other than just, but sorry, when I say yesterday, I mean last week. So one of the things that we have kind of adjusted in even talking to our lawyer, I think that what we're going to do is, previously we'd said something like, oh, we're going to copy Larva Labs and do like $100,000 like commercial rights cap or something. Part of the problem that I think with that is the cap is relatively low, and then two, they don't really provide a good upgrade path. So I want to kind of address that, because I feel that if you don't provide a good way for people to know that, like, if I'm going to be successful, I want to make sure that I don't get into trouble if I'm like too successful, right? Because you want to be able to make a big bet if you're going to try to go for commercial rights with your wizards. So we still haven't finalized anything, but let me just talk about this idea, and maybe we can get some feedback from folks on if they like it, dislike it. But I think what we're basically thinking is, to do that, you have like commercial rights to all of the wizards that you hold up to $1 million cap. And then after that $1 million cap, there's royalties that come back to us, half of which go to like the creators, and half of which go to the community. And so let's say, for example, that number is 30 or 20% of gross. We haven't pinned down the exact number. We need to figure out what's reasonable. But you could imagine this case that says, all right, look, you've got like 10 wizards, or you've got 50 wizards and 52 wizards, and you want to make the wizards deck of cards, and you want to do a commercial project with it. Like, go for it. Great. If you make like $900,000, you can keep all that money. But then if you sort of make over this $1 million cap, then what's over the $1 million is there's let's say 20% of gross you need to give back to the wizards community, which goes like half to us, half to a DAO essentially. And then I think that's not saying that that's the royalty structure for everything, but that's providing like a blanket right. That's the blanket right. And if you feel like, oh, 20% is too much, then you can come to us and we can kind of negotiate like a better rate. Like maybe someone's saying like, oh, I'm doing these like derivative works, like, wizards are existing in like pop wonders, and my pop wonders do like millions of dollars. And like, we would love that because now we're a cultural artifact. And so maybe we're like, oh, pop wonder, you're cool. Like, you're doing everything in good faith and like it's derivative work. Like, you don't have to pay us royalties because it's a new thing and it's within fair use or something. But so I think that's the direction that we're thinking, is like, I basically want it to be so generous that anybody who wants to do a commercial work with their wizards as like an individual community member, that they can do that and then like make money on that. But then I also want to make sure that we don't get like, I don't know, some studio obviously sees how great wizards are and they buy up a whole cast of wizards, and then they make a show or like a AAA video game, and with the commercial rights of those wizards, they don't necessarily give anything back to us or the community. Like, I basically just want like some sort of way to bring massive players to a negotiating table, but while still letting everyone who kind of owns an individual wizard feel like they have like ownership of their character and ownership to do what they want, to make derivative works that they want. Like if you want to make a stuffed animal of your wizard, you should be able to do that. But more than that, you should own like the character, not just the pixels in the NFT. And so it's just trying to like balance those two concerns.
Could I ask a question on that? With the people that you've already spoke to so far, so people who might be interested in something like a TV show, for example, have you found that they are more they'd be more willing to make a show with, say, characters that Forgotten's Rune Wizard Cult actually owns versus the rest of the Wizard collection? Is that something that they've thought about? Like, that's just a cynical part of me thinking that it might be easier for them to just deal with the wizards that you own rather than the wizards that are spread throughout the collection.
It's not a big problem because like at the moment on paper, like we haven't actually granted like a legal structure of rights to anyone. Like if for someone to, for example, do a commercial right, we've told people like, yeah, go ahead, like we're gonna hash this out. But that's part of the reason why like it's a responsibility for us as the creators to publish like an actual legal document with our lawyers so that like someone who wants to do a real business based on this IP feels that they kind of have their bases covered. So when we've gone to studios to talk about doing a show, they're not even thinking that far along because it's so opposite of the way that they do IP. Like they wouldn't even think twice that we wouldn't own the IP or that we would give royalties to someone else because it's just not how Hollywood works like at all. If that makes sense, like they're not thinking like, oh, do you have to ask permission from the NFT owners? Because they think like we own completely all of the IP for anything we touch in most cases. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. So it's as if it's as if Forgotten Ruins Wizard Cult will distribute anyway, and they're dealing with Forgotten Ruins Wizard Cult rather than the individual owners of every NFT.
Exactly. And we want to keep the ability to like to negotiate on your behalf because we can negotiate a better deal than any individual wizard. And like we can protect the community as a whole.
Yeah, it would also just be way faster if we could just negotiate on the behalf of the entire collection instead of dealing with everyone individually. We can get a better deal.
Right.
And I assure you, like, our whole point is to like return as much value back to you. If you see your wizard on screen, I want you to benefit from that. So yeah, I mean, and just like, again, if it wasn't clear, like every person we've talked to about this, I would say most all of them are super interested in that idea. There was one guy who was like, who gave like the standard, I don't understand crypto, I think it's a scam, I don't get it at all.
Sure.
But like even he wasn't necessarily against the idea of returning royalties. He just basically didn't understand crypto. So
yeah, he wasn't even into like Bitcoin overall. So there was a lot of steps there to get him into NFT royalties.
Yeah, but like, just some inside baseball, on the other end of that, one person was like, I love this project, super interested. He's like, for the past few months, I've had so many people come to me with wanting to do an NFT project, but then they also have no idea what NFTs are. And so like this is happening all over Hollywood. Like all Hollywood is seeing is dollar signs and they're still thinking about it in a centralized way. And so this particular person, he was like, you are the first people who've come along who actually know what the hell you're talking about, who actually have a real NFT project, and therefore that's one reason I'm interested in working with you.
Yeah, well, and to clarify that, it wasn't even just that we knew what we were talking about. He was like, I'm meeting about NFT projects every single day. And we tell most of them no, but this is the one that might actually work. Because it wasn't just that we know what we're talking about, but it was just like the idea of wizards and the characters and the world and just like everything all kind of fit together in a way that could actually work.
That is the first and foremost selling point, is they've got to like the art, the content, the characters. That's the most important thing. The NFT angle is just icing on the top.
Yep.
Okay, is
Yeah.
anyone else trying to request to speak? We have maybe 10-ish more minutes to go. Everybody's too shy to come up.
Yeah, Matasuki, thanks for sharing that artwork. Oh yeah, there's also a link in the pinned tweets to Avame. Should totally check it
Yeah,
out.
thanks for giving us a shout out there. I was in the middle of a work meeting, so I couldn't quite come up and talk until it just finished.
The first of many.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's been obviously I pinned the Orbis artwork. That was really great. If any of you haven't seen that, that was amazing. The Orbis he Shark Child got somebody he commissioned a professional comic book artist to do an illustration of his Orbis character, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. It's just got oozing with that 90s comic book art style. It's very gritty and it's really great. Definitely check it out.
Yep, and so good.
Mm-hmm. And then if you guys haven't seen the 3D models either for the Wizards, we had Trevor Jones that did that contest for 3 special Wizards. He did really great job of doing those models.
Yeah, I've got to say, and I tweeted this, hands down, stone cold fact, our community has the best art. It's just like the variety.
Yeah.
I just love it. You guys are all just killing it. I love it. Okay, Tom and Raw Dog just came up. What's up, guys?
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Raw
Hello.
Dog. Hey, man.
How are you guys doing? No, yeah, I just came up because I didn't know if Maratsuki was going to be able to speak or not when you mentioned Avame, so I had missed the first part of the call. And nothing.
Okay.
Cool.
I am loving everything that's going on and what you guys are talking about. It's been great to be part of it from the beginning.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment earlier too about the whole commercial rights thing, because I think I understand exactly what you guys are going for. You want us to own our characters, and just if it's mostly to try, what you're trying to do for the commercial rights thing is just to try to punish kind of any big dog who wants to try to come in and try to take advantage of the structure that we have. But you don't want any of the community members particularly be damaged by it, because you want kind of people inside of the community who actually support it and actually are part of it to be able to use their characters as freely as possible and within reason. I think part of that is for my Avame project, I am planning on actually having for my particular Avame as a staff 1/1 kind of. I do want to have Mage's Devon as my avatar, made in Bread's pickle style.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. So I understand that's right within the realm of what you guys want us to be able to do with our characters. Like if I own Devon, I should be able to use her character in the project, something like just like that, especially if it's just for more of a personal representation of myself.
Exactly. That's exactly what we want to make sure.
Absolutely.
That we don't develop some sort of limited rights that prevent that. And I think that and even on the bigger players, it's not even so much I wouldn't necessarily use the word punish so much as just bring them to the negotiating table to make sure community integrity is kept. And then if you're making a lot of money on our community, some of that money should come back.
Right. Yeah, I definitely see what you guys mean there. That's perfect.
Have there been any hurdles you guys have come across when talking to these people about, or when, or how much you want to give as far as commercial rights to the community members?
Cool. Tom, did you want to say?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask because Dotta tweeted about the space and said music ? And I don't remember. Was there some announcement about music, or maybe I missed it?
Okay, hold on. We've got two different.
I'm on a delay. I'm on a delay, or Elf is on a delay, and I'm not sure who it is.
I think it's you. Okay, there was two different questions at the same time. Rodog, I'm sorry, I forgot what you asked, but Tom just asked something about music. And it's funny you say that, because that was on my checklist, and it's one other thing that I was supposed to mention. We are actually talking to a super professional musician about adding a musical element to the collection. I don't know if I want to say much more than that at this point. You could maybe think of it as maybe every wizard has their own theme song, something like that. Theme songs that would be generated as well. That's all I'll say about that. Something along those lines. Dotta, are you back?
I think. Tell me if I'm slow or not.
No, that was right on cue.
You're good.
Okay.
Yep.
I think one of the things we haven't had too much trouble with regards to commercial rights. I think it's mostly, I don't know if you're asking about commercial rights or shows. I think just the idea on shows is like it's just hard to sell a show in the first place. So we haven't had any more difficulty than I think anyone else in that regard. And then the commercial rights, it's mostly just like working out with our lawyers. I just want to like we have a few people in the background who have been asking like, hey, we want to do this like big commercial thing. What's your actual like legal document? What are you granting? And I have to sheepishly be like, oh, well, we want to do this, we want to do that, but we don't actually have the language. And they're like, okay, cool. Tell me when your lawyer like gives you the documents, because we need like something in black and white. And so I'm just working with our lawyer to get that done. I know I've been saying this for weeks. I'll probably be staying it for a couple more weeks just because it's not fast. But we're working on it.
Yep.
Cool.
We've got 5 minutes left. Anyone else?
Maybe we can like touch back on this like hierarchy of NFTs. Dotta, is that like some original thing you came up with?
Super interesting. Yeah, go for it, Dotta.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like. I don't. Yes.
Could I say something here?
Please.
I was thinking about this today, because I think an interesting part of these NFTs is that you like build a story about them, and then if we're connecting the fact that these are kind of pseudonymous identities at the same time to that story, I was wondering about what like the community feels about kind of having stories be commissioned, because where you have stories that are commissioned, then you kind of have I guess for me, when I write a story, I'm thinking on ways of like developing a character in the longer term. But if you're like outsourcing this for your own wizard, does that kind of take away from the connection that you have to that wizard, if we're taking on the model that Dotta shared earlier this week? But I was just wondering about that. I don't have really any thoughts, but I thought it was a very interesting thread.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel about stories like I feel about artwork, for example, which is to say neither are my strong suit. So, for example, if I asked like Margaret to do a poem for me, and she came back with something, I would say in like 99% of cases, I'm going to feel like, yeah, what she describes to me is the truth, because she's able to kind of like build this mental picture of the world and how the characters operate within it. Maybe there's 1% chance where I'd say, oh, that wouldn't happen, and ask her to change it or something. But I feel that it's the same way of like filling in kind of a bit of artwork, in that like you lean on someone else who has a strength in a different way. And I don't know, for me, it wouldn't take away for a story to come back to me. Almost like a dream, right? Like I feel sometimes when I have a dream, it doesn't necessarily feel like consent in the same way of like I didn't want that to happen. Like I had a dream last night that like, this creature came, and I could feel the creature was coming, and then like I was like, oh no, this is going to be scary, and then it was this giant beast, and it woke me up, and it was annoying because I lost sleep over it. And like I didn't want the beast to appear in my dream, but it did, and it sort of like became a part of my life. And I think that maybe that happens with stories sometimes too. You can still be part of your identity even though you didn't necessarily write every line of the story.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I feel that. So I was I was projecting my own way of relating to that lore building side of things. To be fair, but I didn't ask for this Forgotten Ruins wizard cult to come into my life, but here we are.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
Magus, to answer your question, yes, Dotta created that whole NFT hierarchy by himself, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, I think there's no original ideas that came out of conversations, even from this group, I think, of thinking around the idea of like belonging, for example, was something that I'd kind of skirted around until I think it was even like Shark Child or something who mentioned it. So I think it's people from this group that kind of helped bring those ideas together. But I would guess like that at the very end, kind of writing down here are the 5 things and how I think about them. I've been talking about NFTs, of course, a lot with people in my life in general, and there's still a lot of people who don't necessarily get it. I would even say, as much as I like whatever wrote an ERC 721 NFT contract in like 2018, it wasn't an art NFT. So, and it really took me probably not even until we created Wizards to really understand the deeper psychology, that it's not just that layer of like flipping and profit. It's not just that layer of like fundraising, but there's this sense of like community and belonging and status and storytelling and identity that really drive the value. And so there's a sense in which like NFTs, if you invest in sort of some DeFi coin and then like the founder leaves or the contract gets hacked, you don't really have anything kind of left, or the value or fundamental value than a lot of meme coins. So it's just something I've been thinking a lot about, and I think that like, yeah.
No, it's totally something that's sort of evolving in the whole NFT space, and even with this project, it's something that I've tried to do from the very beginning is like just sort of lay out what exactly is an NFT and why is it different from a Dogecoin or a Shiba coin or even a Bitcoin. It's the aesthetic
or the Mona
element.
Lisa.
Sure, yeah. It's the aesthetic. It's the narrative. It's the identity. If I don't know if you guys know who Raoul Pal is, but he's a super interesting. He's a macro investor, but he also comments a lot on cryptocurrency. He made this. He in an interview recently speculated that social tokens will be bigger than DeFi, and NFTs are included in this category of social tokens.
Yeah.
I have realized over the last few weeks that the demographic for NFTs is not necessarily your traditional crypto investor. I think the demographic for NFTs is basically the generation who's grown up on social media and video games. I just saw a TikTok the other day of this like hilarious Gen Z type of girl who, if you looked at her, you would not think that she knows anything about Bitcoin or crypto, and maybe she doesn't, but she was talking all about NFTs. And I think that's the demographic. I think more than Bitcoin, more than Dogecoin, more than Ethereum, it's NFTs that are going to bring in the so-called normies, the no coiners, if you will.
Yeah, and I think like any person who plays Fortnite or who like has spent money on Fortnite like gets the idea of NFTs. And I think here's the thing, more than like there's a way that people say this, which is like, oh, we're still early, we're all going to make so much money, we're going to dump on all these people that are coming after. Like, okay, that's probably true, like we probably are going to make money when they join, but that's not like the main thing. Like one of the main things is that you can like you don't have to like sign up for a bank account, right? Like I'll sit down with my nieces and nephews or even my kids and I'm like, okay, we're going to set up your MetaMask and I'm going to send you $100. And like that, like now they have a bank account. We're like, we didn't have to like drive to the bank and put on a tie and like ask them to like, write a check or whatever. You just like, now we're sending like value to one another, and I can send them a wizard. And like that feeling when you first get your own NFT and you like have ownership of these digital goods is so special. And yeah, and if like NFTs as flat images are really just the beginning.
Yep.
Can I ask Elf and Dotta, you've both changed your profile pictures over the past month.
Yep.
Have you noticed what was that experience like? Because I know, Dotta, you had your previous profile picture for a number of years, and I'm not sure about you, Elf, but is that an experience you have any thoughts on?
You should. I mean, I think that it helps people recognize you over time to have the same branding and profile picture, but ultimately Twitter is a place where your ideas reign, and so it's hard for me to like dissect it too closely because like I've done like at least like 2 tweet storms since I changed it, and so I've had, I don't know, good engagement and a good response on those. I don't mind. I probably won't change it for another 5 years, and so people will just get used to the new one. I'm a wizard now.
You've always been a wizard, Dotta.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, like even previous avatars I've used have kind of been like within the same vein. Like I played MapleStory like long ago, and like my wizard that I made in that game was pretty similar to how Major Devon ends up looking. So I think in general, because these are very like identifying pieces, I think there are parts of ourselves that we do kind of tie into them. So like I think if a particular like wizard or something like kind of sticks out to you that you use as your avatar, chances are it probably follows. Like if somebody were to follow along the lines of the different avatars that you use, it'd probably be able to find like an underlying thematic behind what draws you to that kind of character or that kind of imagery that you're using it as. So I think in a sense, even if you're kind of switching your avatars, it's still part of you. It's just maybe different ways of expressing you and how you want to express yourself in that time. So I think you can still build an identity even if you're going around like kind of swapping around, because it's still parts of you that you're showing.
You summoned a wizard, and now the wizard has summoned you.
Yep.
Okay, guys, I think we have to
I think
wrap
we're at
up.
time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was the second Wizard Wednesday. Come back next Wednesday for the third Wizard Wednesday. This has been Elf and Dotta channeling out from the Quantum Downs. Thank you.